All right, good morning, everyone. Almost afternoon. Thank you for joining us for our virtual open enrollment seminar. At this time, we will go over MetLife benefits for plan year 2025. Before we get started, I would like to brief everyone on a couple of housekeeping items. All attendees are muted and will remain muted throughout the presentation. And if you have a question, please type it in the chat box located on the right-hand side of the presentation screen. Be informed that whatever question you type in that chat box, everyone attending the session will see your question and your name. So if you have a question that is sensitive or confidential in nature, we encourage you to reach out to the County Benefits Division or your benefits ambassador. Lastly, today's seminar is being recorded and a copy will be posted on the Benefits Open Enrollment website. At this time, I will turn it over to our presenter, Josh Middleton.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Nidra. I really appreciate the warm introduction there. So I am a client service consultant. I am the day-to-day and the single point of contact between the County of San Diego and MetLife. So I want to thank you all for allowing me to be here to go over the offerings that MetLife has with the county in conjunction for Open Enrollment 2025. So let's go ahead and move on through. We're going to first and foremost discuss life insurance. We've got a new offering that we're excited to discuss with you. But we're going to start with what we've had in place for quite some time. And I've put them into two groups just to make sure that we're identifying these things correctly. We have the employer paid benefits and we have the voluntary employee paid benefits. So first and foremost, starting with employer paid, there's basic life and accidental death and dismemberment. So for the basic life and AD&D coverage, we have Class 1, which is a flat $10,000 amount, Class 2, which is 1 times your basic annual earnings, or BAE, how we refer to it, up to $1 million. And for Class 3 and 5, it's going to be 2 times your BAE up to $1 million. Now, these are all have been in place for quite some time, but going on to the spouse and domestic partner life insurance, that's going to be a flat $2,000 amount. And that insurance also extends to dependent children, which is going to mirror that benefit of a flat $2,000. Moving on to supplemental life and AD&D coverage. The supplemental life insurance allows you to have 1 to 6 times your basic annual earnings up to $2 million with a guaranteed issue amount that's going to be 3 times your annual salary. Now, I want to bring to your attention here that if you are increasing above that guaranteed issue amount, or if you are electing above that guaranteed issue amount for the first time, you will be subject to a statement of health. So with a few things here is if you receive the request for a statement of health and you complete it, but you complete it into the month of January, the statement of health, the actual increase, if you get approved, wouldn't become effective until the first of the following month in which the statement of health is approved. So I wanted to make sure that that was clear for you there from a timing perspective on when you could expect, based on an approval, when you could expect that increase in your benefit. I also wanted to touch base on the accelerated benefit option. We are going to devote a little bit more time and attention to the accelerated benefit option specifically a little bit later on in this presentation. But for now, there is an accelerated benefit option that is coupled with supplemental life, and it provides up to 75% of your benefit up to $500,000 if you are deemed terminally ill and you apply for the accelerated benefit option. And of course, contingent upon approval, there will be a medical review inside of that application, but we can dig into those details a little bit later on in the presentation. So moving on to the supplemental spouse life, which is a brand new offering to the County of San Diego employees. And we're going to expand on this in just the next slide here. So for now, the supplemental spouse life coverage is going to be in the flat amount of $10,000. And like I said, we will jump into this with a little bit more detail here in a moment. So for voluntary AD&D, there are 3 options. So there's going to be 1, 2, and 3 times your basic annual earnings, all up to $1 million. Okay. Jumping a little bit further into detail on the supplemental spouse life, this is going to be available to spouse or domestic partner, right? There's going to be no statement of health needed. It's going to be the one singular amount of $10,000. However, at time of claim, if you're married, we're going to want to see a marriage certificate to constitute that claim and that benefit payment if it is approved. If you have a domestic partner, you will need to provide a copy of the affidavit of domestic partnership. And that could be obtained by going through the County Benefits Division, the County Benefit Division's website. This is also a hyperlink here that was provided to me by Tammy. So you'll be able to obtain that directly from the County Benefit Division's website. You'll fill that out and you could submit that back to the HR department there. So we can enroll in the new supplemental spouse life coverage by logging into PeopleSoft. It's going to be self-service on your work computer, and during open enrollment, you can select supplemental spouse and submit your choice. The caveat here is you have to have a spouse and you have to have a domestic partner. The supplemental spouse life is not going to be something that's going to be available to children. Inside of that caveat, if you and your spouse are both employees of the county, you're not going to be able to cover each other as a spouse on the supplemental spouse life. Just want to make sure that that is clear. If there are questions about that, please let me know. Okay. Moving on to the MetLife Group Life Insurance, the MetLife Advantages. These are all items that are provided at no additional cost. They are kind of partitioned between the different pieces of insurance, if you will, basic life, supplemental life, and voluntary AD&D there. But there are some that extend between basic life and supplemental life. So I'm just going to start with basic life, move to supplemental life, and then we can kind of go down to those two groups and finish up with voluntary AD&D. So with basic life, you have access to Wills Center, and this is available to assist you in creating a will, a living will, or assigning a power of attorney all online. This is free of charge here. We also give you grief counseling, which is essentially a counselor that is going to assist you with coping with loss or a major life change. We also offer funeral discount planning services. So Dignity Memorial is going to assist you with discounts on funeral, but also with compassionate counselors to help you manage loss and cope with loss as well. Moving to supplemental life, we also offer, and you have to be enrolled in supplemental life to have access to these, face-to-face will preparation, which is very, very similar to Will Center. So I just want to kind of draw that parallel there. With face-to-face will preparation, it gives you access to in-person assistance with updating a will, a living will, or assigning a power of attorney. But you also have the option to do this telephonically through face-to-face will preparation. And there is a caveat here for face-to-face will preparation or for willcenter.com. They're all going to be facilitated through MetLife Legal. So you'd go to legalplans.com. You'd create an account. You would get something that is called an eligibility ID. And if you're doing face-to-face will preparation and you want to speak to an attorney, they would be asking you for that eligibility ID. It does have to be an attorney that is in network with MetLife. And if you're able to find some through legal plans, the attorney fees specifically would be fully covered under the face-to-face will preparation advantage there. Similarly, estate resolution services works in the same way. It is going to be through an attorney who is in network through legal plans. They're going to ask you for that eligibility ID as well, but they will provide one-on-one consultation to discuss matters of estate. If there are any questions there, please let me know, and then we can kind of jump into those. Okay. I'm going to move down to the claims concierge services and empathy, which are actually available to employees that have basic life or supplemental life, one or the other. However, supplemental life, in order to enroll in supplemental life, you do have to be enrolled in basic life. So if you have basic life, you'll still be able to use claims concierge services. If you have basic and supplemental life, you're still going to be able to utilize claims concierge services and empathy. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. But for claims concierge services, oh, whoops, apologies there. For claims concierge services, this is really centered around assisting the beneficiary, right? We have ethically and empathetically trained, I apologize. We have dedicated call representatives who are trained that will listen and assist with caring about their current loss and current challenges due to a loss. That they will proactively call and assist to provide claim status updates and explain the next steps in the claims process. That they'll assist with helping beneficiaries gather required information. They'll assist with providing updates and sharing reminders about the grief, the financial, and the legal support services that are available. They'll even warm transfer to some of these services if that's desirable. But the whole idea behind claims concierge service is surrounded behind easing the burdens during the claims process. And going down to empathy, empathy is very similar to claims concierge services, but it's more focused around the beneficiaries, right? So there will be a dedicated case manager to provide on-demand assistance for probate, estate settlement. They'll assist with closing social media accounts. They can assist with creating an obituary. They can provide a secure vault where documents can be shared and accessible by the surviving beneficiaries. All of this is provided at no cost, no additional cost. These two services are going to have flyers that are going to be contained inside of a claims kit, and you're going to be able to enroll in them free of charge at time of claim. Okay. Oh, apologies. So for voluntary AD&D, the MetLife Advantage we have is travel assistance. So this comes into play if there's an emergency while you're traveling, whether it's internationally or domestic. You're going to be able to get some assistance for emergency medical evacuation, pet repatriation. So if you need to get your pet back home, worldwide virtual medical consultations, medical assistance and services, dispatch of a physician. It's all centered around providing you the care that you need if you experience an emergency while traveling. Again, these are all going to be at no cost. There's no additional cost to providing these services to you. Okay. Moving on to conversion and portability. I just wanted to kind of illustrate this. I know that we've gotten a few questions about conversion and portability in the past. So essentially, conversion gives you an option to convert your benefits to an individual life insurance policy, right? Whenever your employer group plan either reduces or terminates. It could even be due to a qualifying event. And this is going to be applicable to basic life, to supplemental life, to dependent life, and to supplemental dependent life. All of those are going to be eligible for conversion. Now, inside of that conversion, you're not going to be able to increase, right? You're not going to be able to do that. The maximum amount that you're going to be able to convert is going to be the amount of coverage loss or lesser than that. So you can decrease, but you cannot increase when you're converting. During the conversion process, you're not going to have to submit a statement of health. There's no increase, so there would be no reason for a statement of health there. And 31 days from the date your coverage ends is going to be your eligibility, your election period in which you can actually convert coverage. The 32nd day after your life insurance ends is going to be the date that the coverage becomes effective through conversion. Now, through portability, this allows the insureds and their dependents to continue their group term life coverage if benefits under the employer group plan end. So you're going to have the two options there, conversion or portability. Portability does extend to a few more products. It's going to be basic, supplemental, dependent, and supplemental dependent life, right? Personal accident, accidental death and dismemberment as well. And inside of portability, you can increase the maximum. There's generally a limitation to the coverage amount in force. That's going to determine how much you can actually increase. You can also decrease, but there is a minimum here. So the lowest you can actually go would be $10,000. So if you are just porting standard port rates, there's not going to be any drastic increase, and you're just wanting to do standard rates, there's not going to be any statement of health required, but there could be a statement of health required depending on the increase that you're looking for there. And it's going to follow the same election period of 31 days from the date the coverage ends. And the 32nd day after your life insurance ends is when the coverage is going to become effective. And that's going to be through conversion or through portability there. Both of these options are going to be provided to you at the same time. I think I saw a question in the chat. Were there any questions here?
Yes, Josh, we've had a couple of questions come through. An individual is inquiring, can you repeat the information about both county employees having, I'm assuming, the supplemental spousal life insurance coverage?
Sure. I assume that is regarding what we call dual coverage, right? So if you and your spouse are both employees of the County of San Diego, right, you can enroll in coverage as an employee, but as you are both employees, you cannot then cover each other as a dependent, right? So with supplemental spouse life in particular, as an employee, if you're both employees, you can both enroll in basic life and you can both enroll in supplemental life, but you cannot enroll each other as a dependent through supplemental spouse life. I hope that brings some clarity to that question there.
Perfect. Thank you. Another question, if we could get this answer. Is there a list of participating attorneys?
There is through legal plans, right? And it does it by zip code. It'll tell you, and I believe you can go up to 50 miles from where you are. And you can see that there are many different areas of law. So they typically partition it by area of law. And then inside of area of law, there are specifications as well. But there is definitely a complete list. And that list is constantly growing. So.
Excellent. Thank you. Another individual has requested a copy of the link to create an account, and I'm happy to inform the audience that my colleague has provided that link in the chat. So if you open up your chat, you can access the link to create an account with MetLife. Another link that was provided in the chat was regarding estate planning. And you can create an account with legalplans.com. So again, there are a couple of links there for everyone if you want to check out the chat box. And now a question for you, Josh. Can I borrow money from my life insurance policy? That was answered, but I'll have you go through the details of that if you can.
Sure. So I think the question there is it's a little bit broader, right? So with the plans that the county currently offers, right, they're what we call term life. So it's that type of insurance. It's the structure of the life insurance that is provided to you. It's not a plan that enables you to borrow against the actual life benefit and or cash value benefit, I believe is what you're actually asking. So is it possible with the current products that are offered in conjunction with a partnership through MetLife and the County of San Diego? No. There are things that are like the accelerated benefit option that allow a lump sum payment if you are deemed terminally ill. But the ability to borrow against the life insurance policy as it stands today, that is not currently possible. But there is a possibility with other products. I just want to make sure that I'm kind of level setting with you there.
Great. Excellent. Thank you, Josh. Another question, if we can cover this. How does a VA disability claim affect the insurance policy, and should this be included with this statement of health?
I think it's a very, very broad question. So without understanding any of the specifics, statement of health specifically is something that is tied to one, the guaranteed issue for the actual plan. So if I can kind of come back here just a little bit in our slides so I can use this to illustrate a point. Give me one moment. Okay, so just to come here, right? So we're talking about supplemental life insurance, I believe. So this amount here, the guaranteed issue, 3 times your annual salary. Let's say, just to make it easy and keep the numbers nice and small, let's say you make $10,000 a year, right? So 3 times my annual salary is going to be $30,000. That's going to be my guaranteed issue amount. So I'm going to get that $30,000. But say I look at $30,000 and I say that's not enough, right? Maybe I want 60. Maybe I do want the full 6 times my basic annual earnings, right? I want $60,000. Well, because that number exceeds the guaranteed issue amount, a statement of health is then assigned. So I guess while going through the statement of health process, depending, without digging into too much of your details here, and I don't think that it's material to this point that I'm illustrating, but depending on the questions that are asked through statement of health, there are some questions that factor into your medical history, if you will, right? So depending on the questions, it may become relevant. Some of the details of a disability, even if it's through the VA or not, they could become relevant, but ultimately I wouldn't be able to give you as detailed of an answer as what I think you're looking for here, because it's very individual. Everything is individualized, if you will. So depending on your your answers to a statement of health, and if there is a request for some type of medical physical or something along those lines, it may become relevant. But I can't tell you definitively that it would.
All right. That is very helpful. Thank you, Josh. I believe looks like we're good on questions for now.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Nidra. I appreciate your assistance. You get us back to where we were here on conversion and portability. I just got through here. So let's go ahead and jump into the accelerated benefit option. I know I've referenced this just a few times. This is also commonly referred to as ABO, just in case I've been using that. I do kind of pull MetLife. We love our acronyms. I think, as Tammy and Nidra both know. But essentially, it's a feature that allows you to receive a portion up to 75% of your benefit prior to passing away. And the caveat here is you would have to be diagnosed as terminally ill. And what terminally ill means is there's no more than 12-month expectancy to live, right? So the request for the ABO payment, this is going to be something that is definitely subject to an independent medical review, and contingent on that medical review, it'll be approval by MetLife, right? So, it's nothing more than we want to make sure that we have a signed physician certification that is stating that you're terminally ill, and then we can approve it, right? So we are not we're not doctors ourselves here, so we need to take something from a physician that is stating that you are terminally ill, and then we can approve the ABO. That's really what that means there. So 75%, the remaining 25% is going to remain in effect as long as you remain eligible and the policy remains in force. And any future contributions to your life insurance policy, they're going to be waived while you received an accelerated benefit option and you remain terminally ill. So are there any questions here?
Looks like we're good to go, Josh. No questions just yet.
Okay. You let me know if something pops up.
Certainly.
Okay. So moving on to waiver of premium. So waiver of premium is essentially something that allows you to continue your life insurance coverage if you are totally disabled. So what totally disabled means is you're unable to perform the duties of your regular job. And after an initial period of 24 months, if you're still unable to perform your job or any other job for which you are fit by education, training, or experience, you would continue to be deemed totally disabled, right? And the caveat of 24 months is very important, because outside of that 24 months, we will want to continue to verify your total your totally disabled status, right? So we may from time to time require that you send us proof that you continue to remain totally disabled. But you would continue to be on waiver of premium, which means you would not have to pay premium for your life insurance. And the only way that this can actually end is if you pass away. The date that you pass away, the continuation would end. If your total disability status ends, if you refuse or do not give us proof of total disability, so the date that happens, it would end as well, or the date that you attain 65. That's when the continuation or the waiver of premium for your life insurance could end. So to request a waiver of premium form, you can contact your benefits department for an application and then return it back to MetLife. There is an address there that's on the form, along with a signed physician certification that you are totally disabled. Are there any questions on waiver of premium specifically?
No questions just yet.
Okay. Let me actually scoot back for just 1 second as well, so I can illustrate this point. The accelerated benefit option, this is not something that is going to be extended to the supplemental spouse life specifically. On the actual claim form itself for the accelerated benefit option, if the employee is the one who has been deemed terminally ill, there is a section to fill out the spousal information, essentially saying that the spouse is going to be the recipient, the beneficiary, that is going to receive the accelerated benefit option payment. So I just kind of wanted to draw that out. It doesn't have, the supplemental spouse life doesn't have its own accelerated benefit option. And that would extend to either a spouse or domestic partner that is enrolled in supplemental spouse life. They will not have an accelerated benefit option in that plan. Also, along that same line of logic, the waiver of premium is something that is not going to be offered to the spouse specifically. So through supplemental spouse life, we are not going to offer waiver of premium to that individual. Okay. Now, moving on to my benefits, I'm sure that everyone is knowledgeable about my benefits, but I wanted to kind of bring it to your attention here today. So you can actually access my benefits right from your desktop. So you're going to get helpful tools. It's going to have a lot of benefit information. You will see all of your plans there, completely self-service. So you're going to be able to jump in there and click around. It's really tiered to help you manage your benefits and provide you some more insight. You can access forms and documents in the forms library. You can track claims online, and you can even enroll in email notifications on status changes. This extends to certain benefits, but not all. So I wanted to kind of provide that caveat there. But you can access it today, and that is the link right there, metlife.com/mybenefits. We also have available to you the microsite. So this is something that MetLife hosts and works on in conjunction with the County of San Diego here. So you're going to have even more detail about the MetLife benefits all in one spot. You're going to be able to see plan summaries, certifications. We even have some resources on waiver of premium, ABO, plenty of other things on there in the plan resources section. So I do recommend you check that out. There is a life insurance calculator that is located on the home page. This helps you figure out if the amount of life insurance that you have now is going to be enough, or if you have other things in mind, you may need to adjust up or down. So that is an extremely helpful tool provided for free, accessible through the microsite there. But also beneficiary designation instructions are also located on the home page. That is tied to my benefits. But if you get the beneficiary designation instructions, you're going to get a step-by-step process into how you can update or assign beneficiaries designated to the products of the County of San Diego. It's also available mobilely too. So you can access this from your phone. Yeah, you're going to have all of your plan information there. And lastly, this is just a survey here, right? So if you were to scan this code, you can give us feedback, and this helps us year over year so we can understand what specific pieces are the most important to the employees here at the County of San Diego. Where can we, MetLife, and the County of San Diego collaborate to spend additional time so that we can bring awareness or maybe a deeper understanding into the many different components of insurance. So if you have a moment to share your feedback, it's greatly appreciated, but this is definitely not a requirement. So if you don't have time today, or if you have too many things going on, don't feel too stressed, but we do appreciate your feedback. And that is going to be the end of the presentation. Were there any questions that I had missed while I was presenting?
Yes, Josh, if we could go back to what happens to an individual's policy when they retire or if they change employers.
Yeah, so if oh, whoops, this is not the right slide. We need to go to conversion and portability, right? So if your benefits through an employer group plan, if they terminate, right? So if you're accepting another job, if you're retiring, anything that would cause the plan to terminate, you're going to be given the option to convert or port the coverage, right? So through conversion, that gives you an option to convert to an individual life insurance policy. Okay. Through portability, it allows you to continue your current group term life coverage under the employer group plan, right? So there's a slight distinction there, but typically conversion is going to be a little bit more expensive. So I just wanted to kind of bring that to mind here. But you're going to be given both of these options.
Excellent. Can I ask a question regarding the waiver of premium, specifically for the new level for the spousal supplemental life? Now, you had mentioned that there's no waiver of premium for the spousal supplemental life. So what
Sure.
happens with that policy if someone is out for, say, the 6 months or 8 month period?
Sure. So, excuse me. So while if the employee specifically goes out on leave, right, there is a 6 month period where the coverage is going to be offered via direct bill. So you would be able to maintain the coverage, but for waiver of premium specifically, that waives the premium in essence. That is not going to be something that's going to be extended to the spouse specifically. So essentially, what that really means is if the spouse goes out, maybe is needing to go out on waiver of premium because they are deemed totally disabled, we're not going to support a waiver of premium for the spouse specifically. Everything is kind of tiered through the employee, if that makes sense.
Thank you. We do have another question. Can we continue the same one if a new employer offers MetLife as well? So I'm assuming the same level of coverage that you have with the county, and you can go to a new employer and have the same level of coverage. Holder,
Yeah,
can you
it's a.
clarify?
I think I understand that. So it's kind of a fun question though, right? Because so this is I understand conceptually where you're coming from, right? So you're saying if there are equal plans, can we continue it through another employer? So in this case, I think the goal there is to not have a lapse in coverage. I think that's the idea there, which is a great pursuit, right? Because it would be unfortunate if something happened in the interim there. But if you are canceling coverage and then going directly to another employer, that is in effect going to be a completely different plan. So you're going to be part of a different group, right? So I think mechanically what you're saying is, how do I ensure that I don't have a lapse in coverage while I'm waiting in the interim to start my new coverage offered by another employer. Because plans from employer to employer, there are going to be very slight nuances in there. Just because they're different companies, they might have different preferences, even if the benefits are one to one exactly the same. So I just want to bring that to your attention. Um, I, I'm not sure if I answered your question specifically. So if I didn't, please tell me which pieces I haven't answered.
Let's see. A follow-up question to your answer. Can we continue the same one?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have the option through portability, right? It sounds like that is what you're asking. Am I going to have the options to port my current coverage and continue it at that same level? Yes, you definitely have that option.
All great questions, everyone. Please keep them coming. We have some time to address any questions you have. And if you want to reach out to your benefits ambassador or benefits division directly for confidential questions, that's fine as well. But definitely take the opportunity to pose any questions you have with Josh and myself. Alrighty, good question coming through here. What is the benefit of having a life insurance policy unless death occurs while employed with the county?
Well, I mean, so the idea of life insurance specifically, right, is tiered between, if you unfortunately pass away earlier than you expect, the idea is to leave behind enough money to one, cover the costs of what your family might encounter for a funeral, right, for burial services, but also to provide some type of stability through income for your surviving beneficiaries, right? So that is, I think, one of the most obvious, I guess, obvious and universal benefits of any life insurance product. But I think that this question is really coming from do we have the option to borrow against, right? I think that that's where this question is coming from. Um, so there are additional things, right? Like the ABO, the waiver of premium, things like that, where you're able to retain or receive a lump sum if it's through ABO. If you're deemed terminally ill, or if you're totally disabled, you're able to continue that coverage without having to pay premium, right? So the benefits are really about making sure that your family is going to be able to continue to live at least similar to the lifestyle that they live while you were alive if you do pass away. So that's going to be the benefit of term life insurance specifically. So supplemental or basic life, or supplemental spouse life, or dependent life. I keep leaving one off of there no matter how I go.
Not a worry, Josh. Completely understood. We have another question that's come through the chat. What if I already purchased pre-arrangements with Dignity Life, paying monthly payments? Can I still receive the discount? I was unaware County of San Diego employees received a discount.
That is a good question. I would recommend that you reach out to Dignity to see if you're actually able to receive a discount. As I understand it now, is it would have to initiate and end through Dignity Memorial, but I really would recommend you reach out and ask them.
And I'm responding to a question about the spousal supplemental life. What's the maximum
Mhm.
allowed? And I just want to remind everyone it's $10,000. That will begin January 1st of 2025 if you enroll under that.
That is correct. No statement of health. That is just the guaranteed issue amount, a flat $10,000.
I'm going to paste in the chat here a link to the plan resources page for county employees in MetLife. Um, as there you will find the plan summary, the certificates for the policies that we currently have with MetLife. There you'll also find additional resources for estate planning, links to research for grief counseling, the travel assistance if you have the AD&D segment of the policies with MetLife. So check out the chat. There's a link there for you all, and you can save that. See what else we can find.
Yeah, I'm just going to go back to the supplemental spouse just in case there were any questions here.
Yeah, we're
Again,
very
benefit amount
excited
is going
about
to be.
that.
I
Sorry,
know it.
Josh.
I think it's going to be very valuable to the employees there at the County of San Diego.
I agree. Yeah.
Any additional support or coverage is really, really beneficial. So if there are any questions about how this is going to work mechanically, or what are the prerequisites or anything of that nature, please let me know.
Great. Another question we just received, can we update information of our beneficiaries on our own from the My Benefits link? And the answer to that is yes.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
customarily, when you make that update, you will receive a paper confirmation from MetLife. It'll be mailed to your address on record.
Mhm. And we strongly recommend that you do update those beneficiaries. If you haven't gotten a moment to actually designate your beneficiaries, it's something that we really recommend that you do. You want to make sure that that stuff is assigned before there's a need to have it assigned, right? Just in case something happens, God forbid it does. But it's much better to have those things settled before it's super urgent than to worry about it. I guess playing out not ideally or not preferably, I should say. So if you do need instructions for that through the microsite, there are some instructions that we've created that are posted there, and it'll walk you through designating or updating your beneficiaries through My Benefits. And I can go to that microsite slide as well, so we can see that link.
Great. Thank you, Josh. And I just want to add another supporting comment on that. PeopleSoft is no longer the record keeper for your beneficiaries, although in previous it was. MetLife is the sole record keeper for beneficiaries. So please be mindful and make your updates there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a really good point. That is why we actually have to do it through My Benefits now. That stuff comes over to us.
Okay. Let's see, another question. Which email is best when creating an account? Should it be my personal email or county email?
Personally, how I have done it is I've used my personal email. I think it becomes really easy for me to actually access the account because I use my personal email for other products as well. But it is truly a matter of preference. If you want to use your county email, that is completely fine. But as long as you can register and you can get your eligibility ID, that is a very, very important portion.
Awesome. Thank you, Katie. My colleague did place in the chat the link to update your beneficiaries.
Thank you, Katie. And welcome, Katie.
Good morning.
There she is. All right. Just wanting to make sure that there aren't any additional questions. We can jump into whatever you would like on this call here. But even outside of this call, if a question pops up a few days from now, a few hours from now, please bring it to your benefits team there. And if they don't have an answer, or if they'd like to collaborate on an answer, or if it's something that hasn't been asked, they'll reach out to me and we'll work in conjunction to provide that answer. Katie, I see you have your hand raised.
Hi,
What can I do
Josh.
for you?
Um,
Hello.
I just wanted to do a plug for everyone listening in regards to beneficiaries, a common misconception. Please note that multiple programs have beneficiaries and they do not share information. So if you update your beneficiaries with MetLife, you may want to consider updating your beneficiaries with SD Sarah. They are different entities, they do not share information. So the link that I put in there will direct you to all the programs that may have beneficiaries on file.
Thank
That's
you
a
so
very good
much,
point.
Katie.
Thank you, Katie.
Right, we got to thank you. We got to thank you, Josh,
You're welcome,
for all the
Cherise.
great, truly great information, and share the that we've had this seminar with other team members, colleagues that you have. Let them know this information is readily available on the benefits website as well. But also the benefits division and benefits ambassadors are available to answer questions as well if anyone missed this opportunity to participate.
Mm-hmm. And I work directly in conjunction with your benefits team, so that would be probably the most ideal place to go. But if you want some self-service, if you can find a question that is clearly stated in any of the materials that we have posted on the site, that might be most convenient.
Well, Josh, since I don't see any additional questions coming through, I believe we can conclude this seminar.
All
I
right.
truly want to thank you for your time and sharing all this great information, very beneficial for our county employees. And thanks again to everyone for making the time to join us. Wish you all a great day.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to speak with the county every single time. I hope everybody has a nice rest of your day. Thanks again.